Hello and welcome to Playing Favorites. I'm Paul.
I'm Justin.
Choose your player, Justin. We get introduced to a lot of players. Here we are back again to review a classic. And when I say
Classic.
classic, I just mean it's old. It's from 1994.
It's vintage.
Uh, it should have been the movie that should have united all people because everybody loves Street Fighter 2.
Yeah,
This
that's
could have
true.
been even more than the Super Mario Brothers movie, like the thing that united gamers and movie lovers together. And it's not too hard to do if you really think about it. Mortal Kombat would do it much better later, but we're talking about the movie Street Fighter, which for some reason stars Jean-Claude Van Damme. And that is
Yes.
really the first problem with the movie.
And you're just diving right into this like we're ready to
The
go.
initial problem. No, that was my big intro for the movie. That's what we're doing today. Because in honor of Raul Julia and his amazing performance in this,
Yeah.
taking literally crap and elevating it to, pretty good. Like, wow, not bad for what you had to
Good job.
deal with. That's really what he upgraded it to, which is amazing to do.
Mhm.
He really elevated the material. But anyway, if you don't know who we are, we're playing favorites. Justin,
Hello.
what else do we do around here?
Well, we obviously talk about classic movies like Street Fighter 1994.
Lots of
Um,
those.
but playing favorites, we've been doing this for quite some time. We usually pick a topic and talk. We kind of do some little bit of research, and then we just figure out what we like about that topic and pick our favorite things. Lately, though, we've been picking
Mm,
movies as our topic.
yeah, a
So
lot of
we've been
different.
doing a lot of just like discussions about the movie and like what our favorite parts of the movie. A lot of times, those movies maybe are bad or ones we haven't seen before, or maybe one of us hasn't seen before. For example, Paul has not seen this movie before this viewing. Um,
It's infamous too, this movie. I feel like in our circles, it's an infamous kind of like adaptation of a media. It's
sure.
like, oh, like who remembers that? Like it should have been good. It was not.
Yeah,
It was
it
very
was
much
not,
not.
and yeah, I can attest to that. We'll dive more into that. Other things we do though, we've done. You can check our YouTube channel, podcast, all that stuff. We've talked about
Mhm.
video games. We've done some streaming. One thing I want to bring up though, because this is recording around that time. Hopefully, this is already out by then. We're doing some Extra Life charity. We've done this.
Woohoo!
Yeah, it's our third year doing it. I'll be quick about it though.
Yeah.
We have a video on our YouTube channel. Go check out for more details. But pretty much, we're doing Extra Life. If you don't know what that is, it's raising money for Children's Hospital through the Children's Miracle Network, where we're going to 24-hour game. Literally, we're going to play games for 24 hours straight. No sleeping, no stopping. We'll be live on YouTube, this channel right here,
All
trying
kinds
to
of games.
raise money for the Children's Hospital out in Albany, New York. So right now our goal is over $1,000. You can help us out. Links in the description, along with anything other information about our channel and our podcast. But that's a big thing that we're doing right now. So please go check that out.
Yes, we're getting excited for it. We're very close to it. So, yes, the excitement is here. It's going to be a really good year, too. Very excited. Um, what I want to just make sure that we're all on the same page on before we move forward talking about this movie. Um, we reviewed the Super Mario Brothers movie, right?
Yeah.
We gave it our treatment and can you remember some of the things we liked about that movie? We liked that it was an actual movie. It was a decent production. It had a beginning, middle, and end. The
Yeah.
story really had very little to do with Mario Brothers itself, but it was a story that you could follow. And as a kid's story too, like a kid's movie, like PG movie,
Debatable. I mean,
like 12,
there's
13-year-old
grunge
kids.
kids
You
movie.
know,
I guess they're a little bit more looser on what you could put in a kids movie back then. I just still
it's
think
true.
it was weird that a baby came out of an egg. But anyways,
And that's
uh,
where you start too. That's where the movie decides to start. And it's a group of nuns that find Egg Baby.
yeah. And
Yeah.
honestly, I mean, literally, there's prostitutes in that movie. I mean, come on, like it's kind of with
Oh,
this
that's
weird
true.
kids movie thing.
So,
Anyway,
so it was like Ninja Turtles, though. That was the kind of, I don't know, maybe they were going for that like, but lots of sparks. That was
sure.
the thing that we really appreciate about it. Super Mario Brothers was enjoyable for a lot of reasons, and it was a movie. Street Fighter is very loosely a movie. It is a series of clips just kind of jammed together. All right? I want you to,
Yeah.
like, if we recall, like, this whole thing really is, it takes a lot of leaps in your and puts a lot of the "you figure it out" on the audience,
Oh my
like,
god.
just scene to scene,
Which
you're really, like, you gotta pay attention or you don't know what the fuck is going
I
on.
want to interject though, because
Pardon
I
my
feel like
French.
you struggle with that way more than I do, because I'm really good at just filling in loopholes and like
You
lots.
do. You are the movie apologist. You're just like, "Ah, I'm sure they had a good idea for it. Maybe it didn't fall through. I'll just come up with one for myself." Like, this all happens in, like, a millisecond in your head.
It's
You,
fun.
like, go through it with your trowel and bucket, and you just patch it over. Give this a, "No, they had a, no, give them the benefit of the doubt. They probably had some, for some reason, he's like an old prospector." That voice is coming out. But
But I have to say, this is probably the hardest one to fill the loophole in, because there's a lot of things that I didn't
a lot of
understand.
stuff where we were just like, "What? Wait, what? What?" Like, you kept saying "what" over and over again. And that only happens when you're really confused, like, and it's something that's
I
hard to
mean,
comprehend.
like to be fair, just
Mhm,
to jump in, because like this, I seen this movie when it came out. Like I watched this on, I
mhm.
guess I think probably rented it or something. I don't remember.
Yeah.
I don't believe I went to the theaters to see this movie. I'm pretty sure I didn't.
No. How long do you think this lasted in
Oh,
theaters
I don't.
too?
Yeah, it
About,
didn't last that long. I mean,
like, 2
it,
weeks?
I was surprised and like I guess I was surprised. I know you. I don't know if you looked at. I was looking at the budget just out of curiosity.
Oh, no, no.
For the time this came out, it makes sense the budget that it had. Like it really, it's still like way more money than you think it would be. But like 35 million isn't like astronomical. I mean, honestly, that's probably just paying the actors because they had so freaking many of them. Like,
Oh, true.
you know
That's
what I
true. Yeah, I
mean?
mean, if you're thinking about the cast of that film just on its own, yeah. I mean, because Van Damme at that time is like, he's
He's
making bank in movies.
yeah. Who
He's a
else was in it
well
though? Yeah,
known.
it's really. I mean, I know that Ming what was it? Play Chun-Li, Minghua, who later becomes Fennec
Yeah,
and voice Mulan and does a bunch of other things. Like people know who she is now, but back
yeah, maybe
then,
not
no
wrong.
one really didn't know who that
Kylie
character.
Minogue and Raul Julia. I mean, Raul
Oh, Raul
Julia is
Julia, sure.
a bigger name. He's not, and like at this time, you'd say like maybe his star was, coming down. He wasn't getting as many parts, but
Hmm.
was his last film. And I think that's really, we have to just
Oh,
say that
and
right from
the
the top.
Sagat, that actor we recognize. He was in a
Oh,
bunch of other
yes.
things.
He was in Last of the Mohicans. Wes
Dance.
Studi, is that his name?
I didn't. I don't have it
Or
pulled up.
Damien Chapo? It's Damien. No, that's not him. That's Ken. Uh, Wes Studi. It is Wes Studi.
Yeah, he was in Dances with Wolves. But yeah.
He's a Native
He was well
American.
known
He's
for
like,
the for
yeah, he's
like
a
parts.
well-known. Yeah, you got it.
But
Yeah, you
I
got it.
liked this as a kid. So like a person that played Street Fighter in arcades and went and saw this movie, I was like, I to be fair, as a middle schooler, like, hey, cool, there's all the characters, neat. But I remember being let
Yeah,
down by a lot of the characters too at the same time as a middle schooler. But like story
which,
wise, it kind of made sense. I mean, I was okay with it, like I guess for when it came out.
well, yes, because first of all, number one, you're in middle school.
Hmm.
And this goes back to an old playing favorites theory, an old chestnut, if you will, of when you're like really before you're like 16 or so, when you're going to movies, it's just like, yeah, movies are fun.
Yep,
Like the popcorn was delicious,
popcorn is delicious.
the excitement of getting to watch the movie is reward enough because if the movie's not great, then you're like, what did I just like? What was I, so excited for? And I spent all this time and money and
We didn't have as
oh,
much stuff to do back then, though. So it was like
oh, exactly. Like
the
we had
waste of time
TV,
wasn't a thing.
VHS, and if we were invested our time in renting a movie and our money and getting a movie, getting it home, one of the only copies. Finally, we got one. We watch it and it's crap. Oh, it's like the biggest like fu. So of
Oh,
course
I
you
never
give
did.
the movie the benefit for sure. So, all right, I don't want to dwell too much on this, but I wanted to at least, you know, get a baseline here. How we feel about this. All right. Because plot-wise, it doesn't. It's super campy.
How
Like
do you want
it
to go
will just
through this plot? Like, it really just jumps around like crazy. Like, at the beginning of it starts with a bunch of just like news broadcasts, and like you don't even like
about
have it
the
filling the screen,
AM, not the
right?
U, not to be confused with the UN. About the AM. Yes, yes, a lot
And
of news footage.
Shadaloo, the fictional city of Shadaloo that is a melting pot of all nationalities.
Somewhere in Southeast Asia, there exists this like legendary city where all people live. Like it's like Pangea. All anyway, I wanted so much of this movie, and you had the best idea for how to actually go through talking about this movie. You said we should just look at the list of characters
Yeah.
because all this movie does is every 10 minutes introduce at least two characters at a time. It's
Yep.
not one.
Yep.
It's not
Yep.
it's not just like focus in on one for a little while. It's two, three at a time.
So
So tell me,
you get
who are the
introduced
first
you get introduced
two
like
characters that
Chun-Li
disappointed you?
and Jean-Claude Van Damme and M Bison sort of like kind of are introduced because they're like the story,
Yep,
and then Cammy's sort of like there, but it's like a montage of just like news broadcasts, right? And
yep.
there's a war, and there's the military, and like, oh, there's hostages, like, right? He takes the hostages
Yes, he takes
of
some AN workers, not to be confused with UN workers, hostage. Takes the AN workers hostage. And one of them is Charlie there, Charlie Blanca, right? Colonel Charlie Blanca,
Charlie Blanca.
Van Damme, Guile. Okay, okay. I can't go another minute without talking about Van Damme being the worst possible pick for Guile. Okay? We just got to say it out loud.
I
Everybody
mean,
knows it.
I don't.
No, no,
I'm
don't
gonna
even
try.
put your trowel out. Put your
I
trowel back in your bucket.
wait. Hold
Don't
up.
you dare.
Hold up. Hold up.
Guile is a blonde, flat-topped army dude. Like, no.
He has experience being an army dude. He was an army dude in Bloodsport.
He's from Brussels, man. He doesn't, he can't sound like it. It's just out of his range as an actor. Can't do it. He has big kicks. You know what Guile doesn't need? He doesn't really need to be a kickboxer. If you want to make him like a soldier,
Yeah.
then you could just
I
have him do like Krav Maga or something. He doesn't need to do fucking roundhouse kicks.
I'm trying to think of it in that era though.
Why
Like,
Van Damme?
but
Like he's the
who
worst
else would you have
possible
picked
bag.
around that time? Who else would you have
I mean,
picked?
you could have had Van
Kurt.
Damme as Ken, and I would have been okay with that. I'd have been like, okay, he's like that's weird, but
He's
makes
not
sense.
like, he kind of looks like Guile in a way, like hair color and stuff. But maybe Kurt Russell, I guess, could have been a better pick. I don't know who could have been Guile.
Who could have been Guile? Don't. I'm not saying I have to come up with the cat. Okay, give me till the end of this episode. I will think of a better casting for Guile than Jean-Claude Van Damme. Okay,
You love Jean-Claude Van Damme too. That's the
I
funny part.
do, and this is his. This is not for him. You know, it's like, dude, you should not have done this. This
Now,
was not
if
for
he
you.
was just like Guile, okay, like, this is my defense. Like, if he was playing Guile, but more serious soldier that didn't do anything and didn't like say a lot of words, and it was more about Ryu.
Oh,
This, you know
he
what I mean?
wasn't like doing campy one-liners where
Yeah,
his
like,
whole dialogue.
he was just the
Oh,
military guy that's like, I'm gonna help you get to his island, but he's like kind of rough and gruff, and he does some cool boxing things.
more silent and
Yes,
stoic, then yes,
that's what I mean. Like,
maybe.
I can
I
see
would
the
need to see a
visual
screen
appeal.
test first, though. No, he's got to come and audition. I'm not giving him the part. He's got to come and test for it. I want to see him in like a military outfit with the epaulets and everything,
Let me
and I
throw
want
this
to
out.
see him. I want to give me grave Jean-Claude Van Damme, grave military leader. You know,
I got
hardened
a good idea though.
AN warrior.
This is our Guile segment. Arnold Schwarzenegger is Guile. Could you see it?
You know, he's got the flat top already.
Mm-hmm.
he can tone down the language and sound more American when he needs to.
Okay.
I'd say, yeah, I'd give it a shot. Again, I'd let him test for it.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
But no, I feel like you would try to get Schwarzenegger for this, and Schwarzenegger says no.
No, so you have to do
Like, he
Van
looks
Damme.
at the script and he's like, "This is written by a 4-year-old." No.
Well, it's
No,
for
this is
4-year-olds.
written by somebody who read the intro at the arcade and just jotted down what they remembered, and that's what they based it on.
So you
So,
don't.
which character disappointed you first? I'm sorry, we'll come back to Colonel Guile's
Sure. Well,
characters,
he's the biggest part of
but
the movie. I mean, for some reason.
sure, yeah.
I
Weren't you
mean, well, M.
expecting
Bison technically, I think, is
okay.
probably the biggest part of the movie. But like, you know what I
He's
mean?
the
As far
first
as
character we're really introduced to. He's
like,
the first one we see
I
as
think
Bison.
like M. Bison, like visually, like looks like M. Bison. I can
Yes.
pull it off.
I love
I don't know
because
about the
he got his own costume designer too in the
yeah.
credits. Did you see?
That's right.
Costume designer, and then M. Bison's costume design. I was like, yeah, hell yeah, he gets his own costume design.
He
Well,
hired
Julia's
it.
like, I don't want anything from the trunk. No, get somebody to tailor something for me.
But he looks like M. Bison. I mean, maybe a little older, but like it makes sense. Like
Mhm.
I could kind of see it. Like I don't
Ruler of
know if I like
Shadaloo.
how campy they made him though. Like he wasn't. It was so over the top campy. But I feel
All of
like
it.
that was Raul Julia just like going all at it. Like his like big speeches he'd have and all this stuff. Like
Well, look, you had Van Damme trying to give these campy lines that come off so disjointed and weird sounding coming from him. And then Raul Julia is given similar material, but he's able to take it to
to
like,
yeah.
all right, you want campy, but I'll give you Shakespearean campy, you know?
It was very like very separate from the rest of the tone of the movie though, you know what I mean? Like it looks so
Yeah.
drastically different from everything else. Like personally
You
though,
could
I
you could
feel
have
like all
told me
the
I'm sorry to interrupt you. You could have told me that they filmed his scenes separately and, like, on his own for most like, until he needs to actually be in a scene with somebody,
Mhm.
like, completely separate from the cast. Like, I would be he'd be like, "Okay, Mr. Julia, we're gonna get your 6 days of work in. Let's do it." And then they finish the rest of the movie without him. But
But to
anyways,
answer
go
your
on.
question, my most
Yes.
disappointed character. Like I'm disappointed with a lot
The
of them.
first one of many.
Yeah,
Yes.
like but like I remember like as a middle schooler like oh my god, they did him so dirty. And that's Blanca, easily. It's easily Blanca. Blanca's like the worst thing ever. Like like
What did they do to poor Blanca, Justin? Tell them.
like
Tell them what they did.
I don't remember even being as bad as it actually was. But like the origin of Blanca is first off the mutation and transformation looks so poorly done. Like we could have done a better job,
Well,
probably.
can you explain to me how they mutated him? Because from my perspective, it looked like they put on 3D glasses
It
and
pumped.
he was watching violent images, like 28 Days Later, what they
Yes,
did to
yeah.
the chimps, watching violent things, and then they put, like, liquid
Ecto-cooler.
into him or
Ecto-cooler.
gas?
It's high Z
Ecto That's right,
ecto
it was the big
ecto
vat of Ecto Cooler. So, that's what
and maybe
mutated him.
maybe like some Sunny D. I don't know what the orange stuff was. It was like
There wasn't any purple stuff, though. Unfortunate. But, yes. So they just injected it with this goo,
but it was funny because
and
I don't think that I feel like it was the same bags the whole movie. Like I don't think I ever saw like it like going into a like a hose or anything. Like
well, no, they spent all their money on getting that one bag. They're like, "I'm sorry, we this is the prop. We can't do anything else with it."
but man, like the transformation's so weird. Like he
Lots of
gets
smoke
so
on
I
dry
guess pretty
ice.
much it the orange stuff is hair dye, right? So it makes his hair orange.
Carrot juice, I believe.
And somehow
Uh-huh.
like the I love how like the operating system of this mutation because we got another horrible
The
character like
computer.
affecting
Another great 90s version of an operating system, right? Of, like, how a computer works. Lots of
It's like,
clicking, lots of button pressing, that's for sure.
but it's like I love how the bar that's like it's like loading like what bad
Yep.
imagery, and then all of a sudden the doctor, who's a monk, that's not a monk, but we'll talk about him later, I'm sure. Um, he decides to switch it to like Martin Luther King's "I Have a Dream" speech and like a birthday
And so, like,
party,
yes, like, children playing, like,
and
to
like the color of
I'm
the
like,
bar
"What
goes from like evil images red, and then it goes to blue, like.
literally like a dial." I'm like, "What is this machine that produces just bad images, good images?" Like, is it, like not even Google has that ability to just be like, "I'm gonna flood you with, like,
You just change the
images of terrible
frequency. It's a
things in, like,
frequency.
concentration
There's
camps." Yeah,
negative
right?
frequency and positive frequency. Obviously,
Just
makes sense.
then I just use my dial here to change
That's
it to
that's why they're
positive.
using. See, I'm gonna fill in the plot here a little bit. That's what that temple's for. So that temple was built by this ancient civilization. It's able to pull in positive and negative energies and like fine tune.
Listeners, viewers, please draw me a picture of with Justin's face, of him with a trowel and a bucket, and he's the movie patcher. He's the guy who patches all the holes in the plots of movies. Patch them over for you, free of charge.
But then finally, my last thing about him that I don't
Mhm.
can't stand, it's just his face looks horrible. Like he looks like the Incredible Hulk from like the TV show, but
Yes,
worse
yes,
somehow.
a
Like
lot of Lou Ferrigno vibe, yeah,
yeah,
for sure.
so it like I then he's like it's almost like a waste. It's like he is created, he does something, and then that's it. Like I don't remember him again. Like he just
Does
like
he, like, sacrifices himself to, like, save them or something? I don't know.
maybe I don't
He
even
has
remember.
some kind of heroic moment, but you know he's gonna die.
But they never
And it's
they
like,
never do any of the moves that they're supposed to do. They don't do
yes,
any of their
he
specialties
oh, yeah,
except
yeah,
for
he
Bison.
saves Guile, that's right. At the end, he, like, saves Guile, basically what he does, like
But oh man, Blanca really kind of made me sad.
well, they turned it into, like, The Fly, almost, like, he turned into this terrible thing, and then he's never, you know and it's over. And, if Blanca is too hard to do, then don't do Blanca. And I'm sure people would be like, "Okay, I get it." Like, that's kinda weird to have that dude in it, but, some people would grumble.
Yeah, he is
Um,
probably one of the more popular characters. But I
yeah,
wouldn't think the
true.
producers or the director of this movie would even know what the popular character was. Because why?
True. It's true. Certainly doesn't seem like they cared or knew in the making of this film.
Yeah, like
Um, my first disappointment was E. Honda and Balrog there.
oh yeah.
I just gotta if you're talking about, like, the cascade of terrible things that right from the beginning, like, having them be, like, news reporters, like, guerrilla news reporters, I guess, and Chun-Li is a news reporter, a journalist, like,
Well, they're ex boxers and ex sumo wrestlers that became like what?
what? They work in a news reporter's van,
I don't
like,
think they're really news reporters though. I think they're pretend news reporters.
what do they do? What do they do? What do they do all day?
They hit something about. I know she's doing it to kind of get back at Bison for like I think killing her family or something.
Killing her dad. Yes. Yes. Oh my
Um
gosh, that's one of the
yeah
best parts of the movie.
yeah.
Oh my gosh, Justin. There were many parts, like, I was while I am making fun of this movie, it did bring me a lot of joy. I did
Yeah,
laugh
we had a blast
very,
watching this movie. To be
very
quite
hard
honest.
watching this movie. And one of my favorite scenes is Raul Julia's M. Bison, saying, "Well, my dear," like, to Chun-Li when he's trying to, like, romance her.
He had to change into an
And
outfit. Remember, he had an outfit
yes!
change.
He went into let me it's just like Blazing Saddles. Like, she's like, "Let me go slip into something more comfortable." And she
And he had
comes
different.
back in, like,
He had a different
lingerie.
hat and everything.
Mhm.
That his room was
My
great.
evening hat. Like, that was legitimately funny, but it has really, like, completely, like, tone deaf to what this movie should be. But Chun-Li is like, like, "Why are you doing this? Like, I would never I'm here to to kill you because you killed my father. Like I am, you know, such and such's daughter, and I'm here for revenge." And he's like, "Who?" And she's like, my dad." And he's like, "Oh," he's like, "Honey, you know, that day that your father was killed by Bison must have been the biggest day in your life, but to me, it was just Tuesday." I can tell you that is like, wow, freaking hilarious line. And he like
His
gives it his
deliveries are
all.
great. Yep. Like, and then one thing I want to add to that, my favorite
So
like
good.
thing with that whole scene was that
Mhm.
freaking painting that they have in the room, like him riding a horse. Like,
There's a bunch, right? There's a
yeah,
couple paintings of him
but
like as like Napoleon and him like as, you know, Alexander the Great or something. Oh my gosh. It is exactly what you would like stereotype villain, you
mhm.
know, like what would the villain's inner sanctum look like? So in a lot of ways, this was just like, I don't know, maybe if it was trying to be a parody of that kind of movie, then maybe it might have been something, but it was in earnest. So
Yeah, I don't know.
really
Like,
just
it's
butts.
too many things, too many ideas in this movie. It just was so wild. Some of the things that actually end up happening. It's
Too
like
many ideas? I don't know. I feel like it is quite the opposite.
well, like okay, you had so many different environments that had no like kind of connection to each other. I guess is my point. Like
Mhm.
the flow of the movie, you said, is a bunch of different like just introductions to different characters. I mean, we went from like a casino or something or some sort of like where they
Oh,
meet
like
Sagat
oh
to
yeah, 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 like the betting place where you meet Sagat and Vega. You get your
yeah.
Vega
You go
introduction.
there,
Yeah.
you're in a prison with a bunch of bamboo sticks and stuff, and then it's
All those bamboo structures. Yes, they built all their emergency exits out of bamboo. All the fire escapes are made of bamboo.
we went to
Okay.
like some circus at some point. There was elephants and things. Like we went there.
I remember that because we were just talking about something, like, ignoring the movie for a minute, and I said, "Are we at the circus now?" And you go, I guess so." I don't remember how we got to the circus, but indeed, this movie does veer into the circus.
It doesn't even make sense. It's like no, and
You
then
think?
like I mean, there's so many ideas. And my point is like but they're no
Oh.
conceits of it. Like we did a whole setup to kill Jean-Claude Van Damme, which had no like
Oh my gosh, I almost forgot my favorite part of the movie.
like
Oh my gosh, I'm sorry. Oh my gosh, I've never seen a better assassination plot in my life. In the middle of like it's like a business meeting, like an administrative meeting of the AN, you know, like they're just sitting around a table and he's like,
oh no,
"All
I
right,
wasn't talking about that
let's
part,
have
but
your
like
report."
that's funny too.
Like let's each department's giving their reports and it's like, "Sir, you know, we need more resources in sector C." Like, "Okay, okay, cool, cool." And then all of a sudden this waiter just like, "Yeah!" Like pulls the knife and just attempts to kill Jean-Claude Van Damme in the middle of this business meeting. And we're like, "Whoa, where did that come from?" And it's just like, you know,
It
just
doesn't.
this
It
is what
doesn't.
it's like to work for the UN, you know? You never know when some guy will just stop serving you champagne and just, like,
that
pounce on you.
that scene made me laugh so much because it doesn't stop. Like it's not long, but like it's like John. They realize he's being attacked, so he just like kicks him. He like hits him with his leg, so he falls down. You're like, oh, he's just gonna grab him. But then it's like it cuts again. There's so many edits in this freaking movie. It's like ridiculous. But like
Cutting. Oh,
it, it's like him, and then he throat
oh,
punches him, and then he throws him off the table. But no, I was referring to not that. I was
oh,
referring
I'm
the
sorry.
fake death, like the fake death thing that they
Oh,
happened.
when JCVD fakes his
But
death.
then,
Yes,
but
yes,
that had
oh,
like
yeah.
no implication whatsoever. Anything else? It's like he faked his death. All right, makes
So
that
that he
nice and
could
sad.
oh, no, no, no. It was so that he could ride the super boat, remember? He could ride night boat.
Yeah, I guess.
You know, he could take the because they're like to get to where Bison is to get to Shadaloo to find it.
But why did he have to pretend to
You
be
have to go
dead to
like
go on the superboat?
upriver.
I don't.
I don't know. And like they were doing like a ground forces thing, so it's at points the movie is intercut with these battle sequences, these firefights, and we're like, who's on whose side? Who are we rooting for? The only time we know when to root is when we see Cammy or one of his other like lieutenants there in
The
the AN
T-Hawk, or
uniform.
what was it? Was it T-Hawk?
Oh, night. Oh, yeah, Thunderhawk or
Thunderhawk.
Nighthawk, something. Yeah, and I just
But like literally, the whole movie's
there
about
is no
him.
point. All right,
Like,
there is no point to him killing himself. It was
yeah,
just
because like the
fun
whole thing was to like
ideas.
he was killing himself to allow the Ken and Ryu, who are such a worthless group of characters in this movie, but
Oh
like
my god!
it's allowed them to
Yeah.
infiltrate Sagat and get his good side, so they can get to M Bison to then do what exactly? Like I don't know what their whole point
Well, it was to get
was.
in good, and then I thought they were supposed to like tell them where Bison is or help them fight Bison. Like if they were supposed to go and like kill Bison, then well they did that poorly anyways. Like
Yeah, I don't know what the whole like end game thing was with their role. Like I don't, because then
I think
like
he
I get
wanted to turn them into good guys. Remember, Guile was turning. He's like, "Are you going to be the good guys now?" Well, you remember he takes them to go see the the people that were hurt in the Bison attack. Remember?
Mhm.
And he parades them through like the hospital, and they're like, "All right, we have hearts, so we'll help." So he just sends them, I don't know, reconnaissance as people on the inside.
Yeah, because it gets
They're
weird
good guys.
because I think they send them and then what's her name, Chun-Li infiltrates and like
She does on her own, in her own way.
and somehow they captured Chun-Li. I don't know how that worked out, but okay. Like it just sort of cuts to them like being captured at some point. So I don't
Well,
understand
they
the
needed
flow of this movie.
no. There is no flow. Flow. There's no flow to this movie. When we tell you, please, if you haven't seen this movie or if it's been a long time since you've seen it, you should watch a clip to try to watch like 3 or 4 minutes uninterrupted and just see how many cuts there are. It's jarring. It really is. After a while, you feel like you're going crazy. Like it's like stop. Like
Especially during the
just let it
I
breathe for a minute. Just like yeah,
I know
in the you're right. Like towards the end, it just like the intensity of that picks up
the
to the
speech
point
he
where you're like,
does, but Jean-Claude's
oh,
speech, like
it's
it
like
was
every other
just
word. We can do it together. Cutting mid syllable.
so do you have any other character like I actually think Chun-Li's character was good. I don't
No,
think she fit
pretty
pretty
good.
well.
Good casting. She's a great actress, and
I know
there's
you didn't like Balrog as like far as being a character, but he looked like Balrog kind of like
no. They you know what? And the guy who played E Honda, which they made it like that he wasn't that he was Samoan, but that he was like was he related to or like a descendant of
I don't
the original like E Honda?
I
Anyway,
guess I don't know.
but yeah, they look the part.
But I would say, aside from Ben Bison, though, Zangief was probably the best one. Like I
Hmm,
really like Zangief a lot.
low
I thought,
key, probably the best character because he didn't
yeah,
say much, and when he did say it, he was funny because you think he's like this lovable oaf, you know. He's not. He seems at first like he's the right hand badass, and then you realize he's kind of slow, and it's just like oh, he's easily turned to the side of good very quickly. At the end, when they're like, oh my gosh, the ending is just
we're jumping
when they
around a
all
little bit with this movie because it's so hard to like go through like movie by.
other characters. Yes, other characters to let's talk about Dr. Dalsim, who is not really a character. He's the guy who's inflicting Blanca's mutation. I feel like you could have done that, and that could have just been a small part. And then Dalsim, you remember like when he got like hit with the mutagen, like the ecto cooler broke on him. I
Hmm.
was expecting, and he had the chains on him. I was expecting him to like stretch his arms to get out of it. Like they
Yeah,
must have. had that in mind originally and just cut it out. Like they probably already over time. But I mean, like all the setup was there, but they just never did it. Like we never saw anything with Dr. Dalsim. He never did anything. Just
Yeah,
made
none of
Blanca.
the characters have any kind of like superpower except for Bison. He's the only one that gets the power that you do in the game, which is him like
Yes, he has the
fly
ability
and
to fly. And does he send the like shockwave, like the electricity? Right?
yes, he does send the
Yes, if
shockwave.
he had the, like,
He does that like attack where he like floats and does like the Superman punch.
yes.
E Honda, I think, did his little
Oh
like
yes,
hand
his
thing,
1,000 hand
right?
slap. Yeah,
I don't know if Chun-Li did her kicks at all. I don't think she did. And then again,
true.
I just running go. Ken and Ryu did nothing. They did nothing.
They are probably the biggest disappointment because they're probably the most loved character of the
Yeah,
franchise
they're
too.
like the poster child of these games,
How would
especially Ryu. You know, it's like,
how would you describe them? Do you think that they like how bad was this?
well, I mean, Ryu, I could have seen if they gave him a better purpose, maybe could have pulled it off. Like visually, I could see him becoming a Ryu. Maybe like I could see that could have kind of happening. But what's his name? Ken? Absolutely not. He was
What was wrong?
horrible.
He looked like we're like when we first saw him, his first appearance. I'm like, God, he looks like shit. Like he looks like he's been up for 3 days.
He looks like he looks like somebody that never has done martial arts ever in his life. I don't even know what you would like consider his role. He looks like the guy that you would cast for like the douchebag ex-boyfriend or something in a romantic comedy. Like it looked like, it's like I
Oh
don't
yeah,
know.
like the guy who's like the villain of a romance of a rom com. The stalker ex-boyfriend or something.
But like they just like
Alcohol.
I don't get where they're going. Like he didn't like Ken and Ryu are supposed to be like, you know, pretty buff. Like for their geese didn't look great at all. They looked like double dragon geese. They didn't look like
Oh, it's pretty embarrassing. Yeah.
oh
Yeah,
man, we
double
should
threat.
watch Double Dragon. I've never watched that movie.
You
We should
have
watch
not?
that. I've not seen
Oh,
that one.
oh
We should.
boy. Listen, you're in for it. That's 80s schlock. This is 90s schlock. That's 80s schlock. I'm gonna write that one down. I don't want to forget that Dragon movie. Talk about there's a franchise. Its movie and its TV show are like so far removed from the game that it's crazy.
But yeah, like I don't even know how else to talk about this movie. Like what, like the one thing I guess like, Raul Julia like had so many great moments. I think that's really it. Jean-Claude Van Damme was just made me laugh every 5 seconds because it was just so ridiculous.
It's terrible. Listen
Cammy,
to
we
it.
didn't really talk about too much. I mean, she looked okay. I made a comment when we were watching the movie, like she shouldn't have worn pants. Like she why is she wearing pants?
Exactly, and she like betrays them and goes to Bison's side. I was expecting that too. I was expecting her to take the pants off and have her like camouflage on her leg.
Maybe that happens in a later game. Like maybe
Maybe
they
I
didn't.
thought that she was introduced in Street Fighter like 2 Alpha or 3,
But
whatever. Like
I'm just saying,
after.
maybe it didn't. She was
Ah,
introduced. Maybe she was introduced, and then she goes to that bad later. I don't know, but who knows? Like whatever.
anyways, Sagat I thought was a pretty good casting.
He
That
looked
dude
good.
was fun.
Yeah, he looked good.
Who else was a decent casting in this?
I mean, I think that's all. I think we covered all the characters, right? I don't think there's any other characters that we missed.
Blanca, man, you're like he is so like Lou Ferrigno, Incredible Hulk. Like even the way that they shot him too, like from below, and just like
Yeah, it
if
was.
they could have like made him move slowly, I'm sure they would have done that too. Like anything to milk the guy in his terrible prosthetics. Like they gave him like a caveman ridge
Yep,
on his head. Like
yep.
why couldn't they just made him like kind of green, kind of
I
like extended his face a little, like
mm,
like looked at Blanca and tried to make Blanca, not just make him a green caveman
it
with
just the
red hair.
effects of this movie were so poor. Like it just seems so poorly made, and like I mean,
cheap.
like again, you compare this to the Mario movie. There's like lots of sparks. There's a similar vibe to it for sure, and
Lots.
but like just some of the like things that happen, it's just like what is going on?
Sure.
Like I don't even know. Like there's a point towards the end where like everyone's kind of fighting, but none of the
Mhm.
fights have any kind of meaning except for maybe I guess M Bison
No,
and Jean-Claude Van Damme. Oh, that's right. Because towards the end, hold on,
people are
like
shooting each other, things are blowing up, but no one is dying.
yeah,
It's like
remember,
watching someone play soldiers.
it's like they're having a conversation, the Jean-Claude Van Damme with M Bison in the gigantic screen, right? It's like I'm gonna get you, Bison. I'm gonna get you, Bison, and then he just walks across the screen like I'm right here. Hi, how you doing?
Yes. Yes, I do love the many TVs make one big screen. That's fun. I love that. That's a total
Oh.
90s image to
But before
80s.
that, we have to talk about this because this is a big reference to the video game. This is like probably the biggest reference is
Mm.
that he controls the mines to attack boats with a Street Fighter stick.
That's right. It's the controller, and it's not even, like, made to look high tech or anything.
It's just the
It's just,
control.
like, literally someone grabbed the arcade cabinet, like, cut out a piece and just like,
I don't
"Here,
even know
put it."
how that works to control mines. Like,
The
it,
6 buttons? Like, what do the 6 buttons do? Do they explode in different ways? Or does it,
it's different
yeah, move,
directions, I
gas,
guess. I don't
brake,
know.
handbrake? You know, what the like Mario Kart? Like, what the hell are you using that for? And there's a second player one. It's like there's both of them. So 2 people can control minds at once. If you can control minds, why not control them all? No, I have to do it all separately. I guess, he is kind of like a minor dictator too. He's like a we don't really even get like he's a warlord and he takes
he
that
he
title
made his own
very
money. He has his
seriously.
own money.
Yes. Bisonopolis, we forgot that, his vision for the future, a city, and then the money. I love that when he pays Sagat with that, and Sagat's like, "What the hell is this?" He's like, "This is just crap." And then that is a good piece at the very end when, Sagat and who is it they get away?
DJ.
It's DJ, that's the other
Yeah, that's the
character.
other one we missed though. DJ, I don't know. He was
He's
weird.
fine. Henchman. Good
Yeah.
henchman.
Yep.
Fine.
Yep.
Self-serving, in the end, coward. Good henchman. That's what you're looking for. But yeah, when they open the thing at the end, like, oh, we stole Bison's secret treasure, and it's just like a duffel bag of his money,
And they're
which is
just laughing
worthless.
and like hysterically at each
Yep.
other.
Yep.
I did
It
remember a
really is
scene that
like
we were made fun of a
Looney
lot.
Tunes.
Like I remembered another scene. It was at the with the circus or bazaar or whatever it was. And it's like I guess what's her name? Chun-Li was trying to like distract them or something. I don't even know what the plan was, but like they send like a recording to them and they're watching like a recording outside. It's like, hey, M Bison, how's it going? How's your
Yep.
day? Like it's like the camera's still rolling. It's like who's recording this thing driving into and blowing things up?
That's right, because it's on her, and then the camera changes, and that was the first thing is they're like, "Who's filming this?" And she was alone. Who's the second cameraman? The movie again, it's just like it's such a lazy movie making, I feel like, it's just like slap it together. And it's not like it came out like it was timely for the game. That's what I don't get. Like it wasn't like, oh, we need to rush to get this out because people are just gonna stop playing this game soon, or like
Yeah,
it's
Mortal.
popular
Did
right
it come
now.
out before Mortal Kombat or after Mortal Kombat? Like that's. I'm curious now. Like, was
Big
it
gap.
like?
I thought it came out before because I thought Mortal Kombat did this like the right way. Oh, geez.
I'm gonna look now. I'm gonna look really quick. I just want to see like were they like saying, "Oh, hey, Mortal Kombat did really good in theaters. Should we make a Street Fighter?" Oh yeah, looks like Mortal Kombat came out the year after.
Okay, Mortal Kombat did so much right
Oh, I
that
know.
this movie could not, especially since they're both based on fighting games. And both, I mean, do both of them have a story? Street Fighter doesn't really
Well,
have a
we
story. It never
no,
really did.
it doesn't really have one. I mean, there's kind of a loose story, but like, uh, we did say like there is a little bit more to work with the Mortal Kombat kind of lore a little bit more.
Yeah,
It makes sense because you're actually going into a tournament where Street Fighter is just them fighting on the streets, which I don't think ever happened in this
literally.
movie whatsoever.
Why
But
is it called Street Fighter when it's about like literally the UN intervening on a rogue warlord in Southeast Asia?
but
Street fights.
there is a story I think on the first one where like they're like it's something about like Ken and Ryu are fighting Sagat, like he's the main villain, and then Sagat leads them to Bison. Like it's really comes down to like
Well,
some
that's what the first game is.
yeah. Yeah,
That's the
so like
first game.
there is a loose story like every fighting game has. It's just like it's so loose because you're playing different characters. So where you didn't have like the tournament aspect of Mortal Kombat to like it's easy to do. You just say, oh, these characters are going into Outer World to do a tournament to stop the world from ending. Easy. Just have a bunch of fights. Street Fighter is
Mhm.
like, oh, it's a bunch of people fighting from other different countries. So we have to make it, I guess, political because you have a military guy, you have a dictator guy, you got a kung fu guy, you got another
Like
country.
naturally, you naturally, yeah, you have Guile versus Bison. Like that's anybody who's played the game kind of like figures like, oh, okay, it's kind of like United States versus this rogue dictator kind of guy, and everybody else is like supporting Cap. Like who's fighting on the side of Guile and the good guys, and fighting with Bison, like Vega and Balrog and Sagat. Those are Bison's guys.
I forgot we didn't talk about Vega at all. We forgot about Vega.
Not really, and he's a pretty good casting for it. You know,
Yeah, massive
played the
good.
role pretty well. Yeah, the only thing I didn't like about it is they're in like prison, and he makes his
The bone
Vega
one,
claws out
the
of
bone one.
guess what? Bamboo.
Oh, yeah, that's right, bamboo. They look like bone claws, but yeah, bamboo. You're right.
Oh, well, yeah, they totally did look
Mhm.
like the freaking bone claws of Wolverine. So weird and like it's like this guy can't go anywhere without claws. He's like, I must have my claws with me. It's like they put me in prison. I must have my claws, and he makes them out of bamboo. It's
I
like, dude,
I'm
just
still
hit
trying to think
somebody.
of what Ken and Ryu did in this movie. Like they tried to sell guns that were like Nerf guns to
Yes, they
Sagat.
they were toy guns.
So then
Yes.
they get like arrested like, in the most random way. Like they're in a fight and then fighting Vega and like what? And wait, Jean-Claude Van crashes into the fighting ring with missiles, like
Mhm.
with missiles.
Right. Because this is how the UN resolves or arrests somebody. He literally drove a truck in with 2 missiles on it, and I mean, like, huge missiles, and just says, like, "You're all under arrest. End scene." And everybody is arrested.
And they're
Just smoothly,
suddenly
just
so then
gloss over.
so then
Let me get my trowel out.
yep. So then the idea is that for some reason they're in this prison that's just a field like of bamboo, and
It
and
is.
Bandman just randomly like watches them getting a little rustle tussle with the people there. It's like
Horrid.
those guys, who are they? Like
They're like the guys in between the levels when you have to, like, beat up a car. It's like those like, they're like extras or
yeah.
something.
I just
Ooh,
want to talk through this plot
ooh.
really quick with Ken and Ryu's perspective. So like so now they get like convinced by Guile to like help Sagat escape and to kill him, like pretend to kill him
I know we
for
just met, but I need you to help fake my death.
so they go with them to like get on Sagat and M Bison's good side to get to their thing, but then it stops. They show up there and they're trapped because M Bison figures it out. Like he's like, "Oh yeah, of course Guile's not dead. Why would you think he's dead? Because his spies are here." Okay,
He's one step ahead of them, or he's 2 steps ahead
and
of
then
them.
it's like Ken's like, "Yeah, let's get out of here. We don't need to be here anymore." And Ryo had a change of heart suddenly. Like
No, we should stay.
I love how he's on the webcam, Ken. It's like, oh, I gotta help him.
Oh, yes, he sees the, like, who's coming to, like, surprise Ryu
Yeah,
and,
because
like,
Rio's just
jump.
he's just running or he's just walking around aimlessly. I don't even know what he's looking for. He's just walking around.
He's going to help. He's going to be a good guy now. So he's just gotta go. to where there's trouble. Who knows what anybody is doing in this movie, Justin? Who really knows? The actors, I think, really have very little idea what they're doing. I feel like Chun-Li's gets the wind taken out of her sails when she's got her like father revenge plot, and the main villain's like, "Oh yeah, I don't really care.
So
Like
I just
I don't
figured
even
out
know
my
who you're talking
calling.
about."
I'm gonna become like a you said I'm like a movie apologist. It's gonna be a study. I'm gonna become a professor in this to try to figure out and to research how to fix movies and figure out the holes that we're missing. Like I'm gonna become like a researcher.
Oh, yeah. Well, I think you're right now you're a master patcher. You just get there and you patch the movies up and give them a little like just you're full of grace for these movies. That's a nice way of saying it.
Hey,
You
I
give
know
them
this
a
is a
lot
bad
of
movie.
grace.
I by no means think this is a great movie. It's hard, but yeah, like
No, but it did give us a lot of enjoyment. I
yes,
will
it
say
did for
that.
sure.
But I will never watch this again. I'm sorry. This is a one and done.
I
So if
only
you're
watched it for
asking
you.
yourself,
That's all I
like,
did. I
yeah,
needed you to watch it. I needed you to
I
experience
appreciate it.
it.
I really do. After seeing it, I realize what that means when someone says, I want to watch Street Fighter. That's a real commitment. So, Justin, I thank you. I really do.
Would you watch it? Would
Bottom of
you
my
like
heart.
watch it with Joe, your friend? Would you watch it with him?
If we watched it with a group of people like that, yes.
Like
Like for one of our movie night
make a
type of things.
drinking game out of it. Could we do that? You
Well, I
think?
feel like we don't even need a game. I think you just need to just drink through it, like every cut.
Every
Take a
edit. Yeah,
drink.
I was gonna say every edit.
Every time you see the scene cut to another, just drink because it happens a lot. I think we'd be able to see by the end of it. But yeah, I think it's definitely if it, at the end of the day, my recommendation is see it just to believe it. It really is worth seeing just
It's
once,
only
and then
101 minutes.
oh my gosh, it goes fast and slow at the same time
Yeah,
because
we,
there's
we
so
were like
much
we
you
were like
don't need.
yeah, we didn't know when we couldn't really tell when it was gonna end. Like we could tell obviously with the time bar, but like we're like it's only halfway done. Like
I
what?
couldn't,
So much is
that's right, that's right. Like,
happening.
there's this huge thing that happens, and, like, 20 minutes in, we're like, "We're not even halfway through the movie
It
yet."
was after
Feels like,
Jean-Claude Dan pretended his death, and it's like, wait, that was it? Like I was like, that's halfway through.
oh, like, we still have so much more to go. If you the minutes lie. It says 101 minutes, it feels like 175 minutes. Really feels like a 220 type of
Oh god,
movie.
the fight, the fight at the end with Guile and Bison just takes forever too. It's like
There are and here's the thing. I like I like the Van Damme movies, and his movies are known for good fights. There's not one good fight.
no,
There's not one memorable fight. There's not one like, "Oh, that was cool," or a cool move. There's not one bit of action that I can, like, remember,
what were
like,
you
that was
call? What were
neat.
you calling the fight between Zangief and E Honda? Just like a bunch of guys, like
Oh, that was the worst. It was just I'm not trying to be mean, but it was just 2 fat dudes rolling around.
yeah.
Like, that was
They
their
even
fight.
had a
They were like,
they had a
"Ha!" And
reference
then
because
they just
they ended up
tumbled.
they ended up on like the fake city of whatever Bilopolis or whatever.
Bisonopolis, the set. Yeah.
And they literally put the sound of Godzilla in the movie to represent like them destroying the city.
And people were watching, like, the camera that's, like, apparently fixed on this area, and they're like, "Oh, look at that." It's like watching a Godzilla movie.
And
Yeah, they just pushed each other and fell over and, like, rolled around. And as soon as they clashed, I said it too. I was like, "They're just gonna roll around on the ground, aren't they? Like, they're just gonna be this is not gonna be a fight." And sure enough, it was just, yep,
so I think we
roll
should
around
end
on the
this
ground.
episode, Paul, the way the movie ended.
How's that?
We have to just do a pose and just have Earth.
Alright, alright. Are you ready? And I gotta tell you, that was the most insulting way to end this
Your
movie
reaction
too.
is so
I
good.
was like, "You fucking you can't be serious." What was my reaction, really? Like, what did
You were just like I don't know. I think you just swore profusely. like
I think I said, "Fuck you."
it's
Like,
like are you
just
like you're like are you fucking serious? Are you like
How could they legitimately think that was a good way? Yeah, we got him. This was awesome. Pose. Oh gosh, no. I refuse
I
to
love the
strike a
logo
pose.
that slides into, like, in front of them. It's like Street Fighter.
Remember all the fighting we did on the streets? Remember any of the fighting we did? No. At one point, Balrog does get his boxing gloves on. They never show it.
But where they I don't know
He
where they
just
got from.
suddenly he just has them. Suddenly he's like, boy, I'm sure glad I'm able to box like I used to. And they were like, okay. This is what's amazing to me. I wish I knew nothing about Street Fighter and watched this movie. It would be the most confusing piece of shit
Would you
I've
like it
ever
more?
watched.
Would you like it more? You think?
No, could you imagine really if you didn't know any of these characters or anything that it's based on, and you're just watching this like this is insane.
Yep.
This is really insane. Like this was written by a 12-year-old, filmed by a 12-year-old and his older brother, and
His older brother.
they just figured a lot of quick cuts nobody would notice. Really bad.
Okay.
Really
All
bad.
right. Well, I don't have anything else to say about this movie.
Or should you? Or should you? Or should you? You're done. Put your trowel down, hang up your bucket. You're done. All right. Well, I I really look forward to the next movie we do. I hope that we will do Double Dragon the movie because from what I remember, it's in a similar vein to this one. So it might be another one and done.
Great. All
But
right.
anyways, please thanks for tuning in. Definitely check out the stuff that we've been releasing, especially our tier lists. I know you mentioned our YouTube channel, Justin, but we've been dabbling with the tier
That's
list,
right. That's
which have
right.
been really fun, as well as some other movie reviews and other things we're doing. And definitely check out our Extra Life page and get ready for game day because we're getting ready. It's going to be a great time and for a good cause. So until next time, this has been Playing Favorites. I'm Paul.
I'm Justin.
Have a good one.
You missed my pose.
Oh, you
I
posed?
posed.
You want to pose again? Yeah, let's pose.